In today's video, we're recapping the mind-bending thriller Braid. This movie takes us on a surreal journey into the depths of a twisted game between childhood friends. Their past and present lives clash bizarrely in this mysterious movie. However, the presentation of this movie is quite aesthetic, and the filmmakers did an outstanding job in creative storytelling. If you want to know more about this movie, stay tuned and watch our full recap. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. In a deep, grassy area, three girls are shoveling the ground to bury some pieces of dead bodies. Their bodies are full of bloodstains, indicating something fishy is happening here. All the girls here are playing a make-believe game. Even though it is reality with their game, they try to live in a fantasy world. From childhood to old age, they're involved in this role-playing game, making every one of them mentally unstable. Most of the scenes in this movie are the girls' imaginations. They are not reality. In a worn-out place, two girls are calculating how much they're going to earn by selling drugs. But all of a sudden, we hear the siren of the police car come to arrest the girls. So they both run away, leaving all the expensive drugs behind. In a running train, a girl named Tilda steals a woman's purse in a very tricky way. She's one of the girls who ran away from the police. Another girl, Petula, flirted with the ticket master so they didn't have to pay for the tickets. Later, they both take off from the train. The train and being the drug dealer are all the fantasies of the girls. When Petula puts the chewing gum under the train seat, we also see the scene under the sofa, which indicates that everything is in their imagination. Besides, the notebook we see in Tilda's hand is like the blueprint of the whole game. Whatever will happen, the parts of the play are pre-written in that notebook. Both girls plan to go to their friend Daphne's house when a homeless man tells them, "You always come back, you old witch." This is also part of their imagination, as it says that no matter what happens, they come back to play the game as an escape from reality. Besides, they discuss that they will do precisely what Daphne tells them to do. They'll obey her every word. We see pictures of their characters hanging on the fridge. In the game, Daphne is the mother, Tilda is the daughter, and Petula is the male doctor. So, when entering the home, Tilda calls Daphne a mother. On the other hand, Petula puts their phones in the mailbox as if they're cutting off their relationship with reality. Now, whatever happens in the game is their reality. They came to this house to steal money from Daphne to pay their drug lord. But remind you, there are no drug lord or drug dealing incidents. Everything is their imagination. Here, there are 3 rules of this game that they must follow. Everyone must play. No outsiders are allowed and nobody leaves. In the house, first, Daphne gives Tilda food to eat. But all of a sudden, she starts making chaos about cutting her nails and brushing her teeth, as he will come any minute now. Here, he means Petula, who is the male doctor here. The male doctor comes and starts checking up on Tilda, the daughter. But Daphne doesn't look happy when he hits her knee with a small hammer. The mother reminds them all the rule number 1. Then Petula hits her with a giant hammer, which makes her bleed. They play the game like small children, even in their adulthood, with too much seriousness, and their creepy behavior of maintaining rules and staying in character makes them very unstable mentally. But Daphne is the craziest one here. At the dinner table, Tilda tries to talk to Petula about their limited time to do their job, but Petula can't answer her as Daphne comes back to the dining room and takes Petula to show her room. Even though Petula and Tilda come back to reality occasionally, to Daphne, the role-playing game is the reality. In the bathroom, while brushing her hair, Tilda sees gray hair on the comb. It indicates that they have become old and have been playing this game all their life. To find Tilda, Petula comes downstairs, where she meets Daphne. As Daphne lives in the imaginary world all the time, she gets turned on by Petula, the male doctor. She starts kissing her and then starts having intercourse with her on the table. Tilda tries to unlock the mailbox in the morning to see her phone, but Petula tries to stop her as she shouldn't open it until the game is over. Otherwise, she may get caught by Daphne. She also tells Tilda about how Daphne got physical with her. All of a sudden, Tilda starts hallucinating as she has taken drugs. She starts seeing their childhood selves playing, and she starts following them. Then she sees what they did in the treehouse. Tilda always refuses to play the role of daughter, and Daphne tries to force her to follow them. While fighting over this, Daphne fell on the ground from the treehouse. They pre-planned what they were going to tell the police, and they told the police that they had nothing to do with Daphne falling from the treehouse. And they do so when Detective Siegel asks them about it. Even though Daphne is okay from the falling out, the doctor tells her grandma that she'll never be able to conceive as her lower abdomen has been damaged badly. As Daphne lives in the imaginary world all the time, she thinks she's pregnant because of her intercourse with the male doctor, Petula. But here, Petula also starts hallucinating as she also has taken drugs. She also sees her old self doing the same thing as her younger self. Besides, she gets a burn mark whenever she tries to flee from the game. That's why we see so many burn marks on her hand. Petula finds the key to the car. So she hurriedly comes outside the house and tells Tilda to leave immediately with her. However, as one of the rules is that nobody can leave, Daphne comes from behind and hits them with a baseball bat. On the other hand, Detective Siegel is on a mission to find the drug dealers Tilda and Petula. Remember, as the drug-dealing situation is part of the fantasy world, so is Detective Siegel. In the house, Daphne has bound their hands and mouth with braids. It looks like they're bound with braids not to go back to reality, but to stay in this imaginary world forever. In the meantime, someone rings the doorbell. The detective is at the door as he gets complaints from the neighbors that they hear girls screaming from her house. Daphne tells him that she's going through depression. That's why unusual things are happening, and tries to shut the door as soon as possible by telling him it won't happen again. But the detective enters the house to see the leaks as an excuse. To pick up the book from the ground, Siegel finds a childhood picture of the three girls. Then he asks about them. But Daphne tells him she has no contact with them as her grandparents think they're a lousy influence on her. But when Siegel tells her that they're dangerous, Daphne gets triggered. She makes chaos about how brilliant and genius they are. And now everyone will understand it as they won't be in the world anymore. She meant they'd be in the fantasy world. Then Siegel starts asking her about their whereabouts. As she doesn't know anything about them, then how did she know they were missing? At that time, the detective hears a sound from upstairs. He wants to go and check, but Daphne asks him if he has a search warrant to search the place. Siegel tries to warn her that they're not only missing but also wanted, so she should be careful about the two fugitives. After that, Daphne secures all the doors and windows of the mansion. We then see some glimpses of the dollhouse and trains, which symbolize the incidents happening in their imaginary world. Then Daphne prepares 5 pancake plates, which say altogether, "We all are safe now." She tells them she will always keep them safe from the outside world. She then tells Tilda to wash her hands and give the doctor, Petula, a riddle to solve. On the way, Tilda tells Petula to look for the safe as they need money immediately. First, Petula goes to the gazebo where a statue of 3 girls is standing. She finds "Our Rotting Mansion Halls" written at the bottom of the statue. She looks through the mansion and draws all the curtains in a room where she finds "Shatter Time Spell" written on the mirror. With this clue, she finally finds the safe, and the numbers that are written along with the clues are the passcode of the safe. With that, she opens the safe. Taking all the money from there, Petula returns to Tilda's room to tell her they can finally go from here and pay Coco, the drug mafia, and Daphne has no problem with them leaving. While leaving, they try to get a car on the road, but a car hits Petula instead. As nothing happens to Petula, it confirms that it is also part of the fantasy. They're back to the mansion now, as Daphne cuffed Petula to a wheelchair and locked Tilda in a crib. She also tells them that she poisoned her grandparents when they wanted to bring a caretaker for Daphne. Then, she cuts the sides of Petula's mouth with a sharp tool. Then, the old homeless man again appears at the police station, where he tells Detective Siegel that he saw them. Daphne tells them to leave the mansion as the game is over. She also gives them a paper where the news of their being wanted is said. At that time, Daphne tells the girls that she is pregnant. Tilda tells her that it can never happen as she can never conceive. Daphne should wake up from this fantasy world. When Daphne tells Tilda it is the doctor's baby, she starts laughing hysterically. It shows how mentally disturbed she is as she still thinks of Petula, a male doctor, and Daphne conceived as they both had intercourse. So now, Petula tells Daphne that she needs immediate surgery because of the pregnancy. When they are ready to start the surgery, Detective Siegel appears and tells them to stop. But lunatic Daphne wakes up and stabs the detective with a surgical knife. Then, both Daphne and Tilda stab him to death. Then, they bring him to the place that we see in the beginning of the movie. They bury his body parts there. As the police car was still there at their home, they all came to the burying place again along with the car and drowned the car in the lake. They have started to play the game again. They call each other with their game names in front of a table full of food. And as they don't have any marks on their face that Daphne made before, it ensures that all were part of the fantasies which are involved with their game. We see Petula start to shave his face, and she also begins to think of herself as the male doctor. Tilda also starts acting like a daughter who plays with her food. They all are so involved in their character that they have no idea what the reality is anymore. While looking for their daughter, Tilda, in the gazebo, the doctor, Petula, sees Siegel's ghost, which scares her. The mother-daughter duo laughs about that. Petula then checks for the mailbox, where she finds the little doll instead of their phone, which once belonged to the detective. Then Petula goes to the burying place to check if the remains of Detective Siegel are still there, but she finds nothing. Back in the mansion, Petula thinks about the time she spent on the train. She has no idea if it is reality or not. Then, she sees the bottom of the sofa is full of gum, and she also finds the book where all incidents are written which has happened already. It confirms the fact that everything was part of the game, nothing was real. Petula plays for some time, goes to the real world and forgets everything. Then she always returns to play again. Whenever she ran away and came back, Daphne burned her hands. That's why her hands are filled with burned marks. While understanding everything, Petula starts crying and wants to return to reality. But again, Coco calls her phone, and now Tilda explains to her that there's no Coco as it is also part of their plan. No one has ever seen Coco because there is none. Petula runs to check for the safe, but there is nothing but a picture to use in the game. Tilda tries to make Petula understand that they are not fit for the outside world.